Matt from the Trade Brigade here doing a technical analysis on ticker symbol NIO for NIO Inc. On the left-hand side, we have the daily time frame, and on the right-hand side, the 30-minute intraday time frame. First things first, this will, of course, be an update. You can see some of our levels from in the past here. I want to clear the drawing set, start from scratch. Do note that these levels down below are coming from a prior gap, so we're going to re-put those back into place. If that was even grammar, re-put those back into place. We're going to replace them, that's probably the word I was looking for, in just a moment here. So that's the overhead gap. Technically, it's a little bit underneath that, but I did want to capture these daily lows from the balance in there. And then let's grab that gap from in the past. So let's go out to like 10 years, whatever. And this essentially was the one right over here. So we essentially want this low. And then we also want this high from that candle right there. And from the 30-minute time frame, this is where it gets a little bit interesting. Notice how the 2374 level is kind of cutting just above the lows that we've seen in recent history. It's always useful to opt for the most recent structure instead of being so like dead set on using that gap low. So we're just going to adjust that slightly lower. Again, it's not the end of the world that it's no longer really lining up with this prior structure. So regardless, that new level is 2336. Let's get this back on over to the more recent price history here. From the daily perspective, what's concerning about what's happened the past day, essentially on today's session, is the fact that we've broken down underneath the 2-day lows and we're into that gap underneath us. Technically, it fills all the way down to 22. So I would start looking for that, honestly, into the remainder of the week. We also get this resistance trend line, right? Just clearly indicating that we have lower highs. I mean, that's a picture-perfect descending triangle just about. So we are looking for some more downside out of it. The only way that you get bullish on the stock, and there's nothing bullish happening on the daily, that's for sure. But the only short-term bullish trade that could potentially be an opportunity is long up and over the resistance trend line for a move to the bottom of the gap here, close to 26, and then monitor for continuation. Maybe if there's some sort of massive turnaround in the broad market, it makes it to 2766. But that scenario, it does not strike me as being very likely, given the nature of the candles that we're looking at here on the screen. So we talked about downside targets. The last thing I want to do is, because we had a pretty significant range on today's session, is quickly take out the Fibonacci's from the high down to the low, just to get a sense for where we're at and where the levels are going to be. Again, guys, I can't make this stuff up. The numbers are the numbers. The trading structure is the structure. The math is the math. 38.2 is lining up perfectly with that flush point there, close to 2336. Any sort of activity that happens below it is nothing more than a bear flag, looking for flushes to complete the move to 22. Then we'll monitor for continuation lower, probably looking at $0.5 intraday levels that do form, at least for day trades. If the tone is going to change, we talked about the resistance trend line, but your advanced heads up would just be a recapture of that level right there, the 38.2. If we get above, maybe it goes on a watch list to say, okay, now if it breaks the resistance trend line, I'm interested for a move up to 26, as we pointed out earlier. That's really going to wrap up the video. Please don't misconstrue this as being, overly bullish. Obviously, the daily chart would suggest bearish, and then I didn't want to leave off on the bullish note there. So that's what I've got for you. If you enjoyed it or learned anything new, let me know in the comment section or by giving the video a thumbs up. Don't forget our main channel is linked in the description. And all of that being said, I wish you a green trading week.